And as Idalia inched closer to making landfall, a new report finds that NOAA's hurricane hunting planes were grounded ahead of the storm. According to the Washington Post, 2 planes were undergoing repairs. The administration had to ground its remaining plane due to a generator failure. Here to further discuss is Jeff Masters, former flight meteorologist for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
So in the article, you say the loss of the P3 data is not a big issue in this case since the storm was being well sampled by a land-based radar. So can you expand on that, as well as the key differences between these two methods?
The tough part of making a hurricane forecast is the lack of data. And that's a big problem, particularly when the storm is far out to sea, because you don't have land-based systems to observe this system. So when the aircraft are the only game in town gathering data, using their radars and so on, they have an outsized impact on the forecast accuracy. But when a hurricane is nearing landfall, now you've got those land-based radars, you've got some additional observing sites, buoys, and land-based balloon systems going up. So you get a better picture of the storm and can make a better forecast.
So do you think this Hurricane Center forecast was in any way negatively impacted by the fact that these planes were grounded?
I'd say not significantly. I mean, maybe a percent or two right near the time of landfall. But at that time, all your warnings have already gone out and people have taken the actions they need to, or it's too late to take action. So in this particular case, it wasn't a big deal, but had the failure occurred, several days before the hurricane made landfall, then it would have been a much bigger deal.
Understood. So it wasn't a life or death situation in this case. There are at least 2 months left of the 2023 hurricane season, as you know. Does this technical difficulty that happened early Wednesday raise any concerns for you in monitoring future hurricanes?
It does. We don't have enough data to properly sample hurricanes to make good forecasts. And when you lose a hurricane hunter plane or two, especially the NOAA ones, which have the most sophisticated data gathering instruments, then it is a concern. But there's a relief on the horizon. We've got a new NOAA jet that is funded to start in 2 years from now. That's going to really be an impressive system, flying much higher, taking better data. And we do have some money to replace the NOAA P3 aircraft by the year 2030. So that additional, upgrade to the fleet should help.
Excellent. And do you think that that is the answer, more funds dedicated to this type of research?
Absolutely. We've shown that every dollar spent in preparation and taking better data saves about $6 in damages. So the more we spend on research, the better. And there are a lot of other tools coming on board that we're going to be excited to see, like drones, both at the surface and in the air, and better models with higher resolution.
So what other methods does the Hurricane Center have in gathering data to make well-informed decisions on evacuations or issuing watches and warnings?
They rely on a large suite of advanced computer models. And the one thing they've learned is no one model is the best one to follow. If you average together 5 or so of the really top models, then you tend to get a great forecast. It's called a consensus forecast. And this consensus forecasting technique has really helped improve their forecast in recent years. And I might add that this year, their intensity forecasts are the best they've ever done, really knocked it out of the park. They've done an exceptional job making intensity forecasts. And those are really important because they, warn people when to get out of harm's way.
Well, critical information indeed. Jeff Masters, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.